Yeah, let me tell you something about Skanska and how we are working on chemicals. We are an old company, not as old as CNA, but still we have been in international business for 120 years now. And we are a Swedish company, but we have home markets, as we call it. So we are international, working in US, several countries in Europe, UK, Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Finland. In the Nordics, we are strong. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I'm a little bit shorter. And we are in Latin America, in 6 different countries, or 5 now, because we just closed one of the operations. We have in the year maybe 10,000 projects going, and we have employees of a round number of 57,000. We are all on a journey to deep green, and that is because a couple of years ago our CEO Johansson and his colleagues in the senior executive team, they said we want to be the leader in green project development and contractor. And they are very clear on their intentions. And not only for us, it's also something that will help drive the agenda for our customers, because most of us are on a journey to deep green. The color palette, that is our strategic framework and tool, which we are using to try to explain what we are doing, both internally and also externally. So you can find a lot of information about it on our external website. Just to explain it to you, this is the tool we use to see how green our projects are. You start off with the vanilla zone, where you are in compliance with the legal compliance and the codes, the local codes and norms. And that's where we found most of our projects, most of our buildings, bridges, roads, because we also have the client to demand how green they want to be. But we can inspire our clients, so we try to inspire them, and we try to use them to actually become a little bit greener. So the zone you see in the middle, the green zone, is the beyond compliance, where you can have products, a building, or a road that is greener than normal, that is having a process that is also more developed with resource efficiency for energy, for instance. And we have listed it against 4 priority opportunities. So energy is one, the carbon is another one, materials is a third one, and water, the 4th one. And we, as you can see, then you have the deep green zone. It's a leap between the deep green and the green zone. And that's very carefully pointed. Because when you come to the deep green zone, then you have a product that is with near zero or zero environmental impact. It was difficult to explain to our colleagues, those making the products, how they could actually understand what we mean when we say that we want to be the leading green project developer and construction company. We have a target for 2015, which is the current business plan, to be the leader. And we have come quite far, but we also have many challenges. If you want to learn more about this one, again, you can find more information on our website. You see the materials, that's one part of it. And in there, you have 3 different focus areas. So if you are in the deep green zone, you have 0 unsustainable materials. You have 0 waste, or you have 0 hazardous materials. And we have specified what they need to fulfill to actually get to there. To date, we have a couple of projects that has actually reached deep green. It's a challenging thing, and they have to think differently, act differently on the projects to actually get there. For instance, we have our first office project, which is in Sweden, which has reached deep green. We have a school in US, the Birchie School, that's also reached deep green. We have windmills, again, deep green. But it's just a few projects that has come to that point. So it's challenging. It needs them to put in a lot of focus and effort. It needs to have them involved in early stages with design and development. And that is nothing you really typically have done in construction. But today we are changing. And we also see that a lot of colleagues in the industry also see the importance of what we have been doing. Yeah, so that's the hazardous. So the color palette classification, to achieve the deep green target of 0 non-sustainable materials, they have to do a couple of things. They need to achieve the maximum level of sustainable use for materials and products, and we have defined that, what it means to them. And we speak about prioritized materials, and those are typically the materials where you see a big amount of materials used. So it's the timber and timber-based products, it's concrete and cement products, it's plasterboard, it's aggregates, it's cut stone, and it's also steel and other metals used for structural elements. So that is clear what they should focus on. But they can also select, once they have done their prioritization with their products they are using, then they can select also others from another list, which is more specific. And those products need to comply with something we call sustainable end of use. And that is, we want to know the information about the product, where it's sourced, how much renewable material has been used or recycled material has been used, and also what can they do with the material or the building at the end of life. And they have to achieve 0 hazardous materials. And on our list, the one we are using internationally, are a couple of heavy metals, and we also have several families of man-made chemicals. And then some of our business units, they are in markets where they can actually also extend that list. So some of them have more specific lists. I was to say something, our products, they are there to stay maybe for 50, 100 years. So the impact from what we are doing today actually could last on long. And we call it future-proofing our products. We need to look beyond what's today, what's the trend. We need to understand what's legal today may be illegal in 10, 20 years. And that's a challenge in our industry, but that's something we work a lot with. And speaking about challenges, we use materials, not chemicals. Our supply chain is huge. In 3 different business units, they had a total of 50,000 suppliers in 4 years. They cannot work directly with all those suppliers. So they have to carefully select to work with those that has the most important impact on what they are doing. But they can encourage more suppliers to also develop products that is more green, using resources more efficiently. And we also have our clients, as I explained, they are on different levels of green. But what is great is that we see a lot more clients actually asking for green buildings, for instance. And that has been a success for us, definitely, because we can deliver the technical solutions and the good building. And another thing that is a challenge is to receive the information from our suppliers, even those we are working directly with. But that has been overcome more and more, and obviously sometimes we have to do confidential agreements. And we need to have some of the information also specified in a non-chemical language. I'm not a chemist, and many of us aren't. We have chemists in the organization, but they are not as frequent in some other companies. The picture on declared product transparency is to tell that the first stepping stone we have in the green zone of our color palette is where we ask the suppliers to give us more specified information on what materials are used, how they were extracted, what was the source of origin, how did it impact the environment where it was produced, and other questions.
Briefly now, if you would.
Yes,
Eva-Lena.
I'm getting to the end, I think. And this is just an example from US, where our CEO for the US business made a clear stand on the new LEED version 4, which had more requirements connected to chemicals. That it was important to continue on to actually have high requirements to chemicals, because, as he says, we have customers that needs to know what is in the building, because they want a healthy environment for their staff. And just today or yesterday, a new report was released, which is from the World Green Business Council, and it concerns health and well-being and productivity in offices. And that's quite interesting reading, because you recognize that sitting next to a window or having good indoor environment with fresh air, all of that impacts our productivity and also reduce our absence. Yeah, they are now sharing again. So one good example, that's my final. We have a public-private partnership hospital project which is done in Sweden. This is one of our biggest projects ever. And we have demanding clients. The Stockholm County Council has a very strong environmental agenda, and they say that this should be the most sustainable hospital in Europe to begin with, but I'm sure they are aiming for bigger than that. And they also demanded us to, while we are building, we need to specify all the materials used. We use the building information modeling tool to do that, and to tell them where in the building we use that material. And that will be useful, obviously, when one day this hospital needs to be demolished to maybe be a new one in the future. But that's a quite critical thing. And this is just to give you a picture of how that would look. So you have the ceiling, the gray box, you have a big material list, and you evaluate all the materials used, and you only use materials that is accepted. It can happen, actually, that you need to use another type of material, but then you need to discuss that with the client before it's approved for use. And there's a tool in Sweden called the Building Product Declaration tool, where they help to give good response to that, and also good alternatives.
Can you wrap up now, Eva-Lena?
I'm finished. So,
okay. Thank you very much. Sorry, but I want a chance for people to ask you some questions. Eva-Lena, thank you so much.